And just like that, we've made it to the last day in the month of April. Happy Friday to you all. Today's Jamaica Magazine promises to be, as always, an informative one. So stay right there as we turn the pages now.
The Disabilities Act will protect the rights of all persons with disabilities. And here's a great teaching moment. Every person with a disability, like a deaf or hard of hearing child, for example, has the right to an education with accessible facilities and the support they need. In this case, it would be a teacher who can use the language of the deaf, which is sign language. Visit jcpdja.com. A message from the JCPD, an agency of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Friday, April 30, 2021. The country is being cautioned to heed the COVID-19 prevention and control protocols now more than ever to avert a third wave of the pandemic in Jamaica. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie made that urging at the Ministry of Health and Wellness's virtual COVID-19 update and conversation yesterday.
And what will a third wave look like? Our starting point is not going to be as low as it was in August last year or even in December of last year. We're going to have higher starting points that are going to result in possibly very, very high rates, where we could have the possibility of as much as 10,700 cases in the peak week.
This projected scale of increase is significantly higher than the 4,000 cases seen in the peak week of the second wave and the 1,000 cases in the peak week of the first wave. Dr. McKenzie says if that happens, the mortality rate could rise to as much as 180 deaths in a week where there is a peak.
Now, 180 deaths in 1 week is something that we would not want to see. It means also that there's going to be a severe stress on our beds. And where we went up to 716 beds at peak, we could be going up to needing as much as 1,900 beds. Do we have 1,900 beds? We do not.
The CMO says that even while current restrictions are working and there is a current decline in the number of cases and bed occupancy since April, there can be no room for complacency. The country's COVID-19 bed capacity now stands at over 600. Dr. Bisesa McKenzie says persons should not be panicked by the threat, but instead take the necessary precautions, such as social distancing, wearing masks in public, staying home as much as possible, avoid gatherings, and wash or sanitize hands frequently. Meanwhile, Jamaica's travel ban on travelers from the United Kingdom will be lifted with effect from tomorrow. The ban was instituted as part of measures under Jamaica's Disaster Risk Management Act in response to the spread of the UK variant strain of COVID-19. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett says lifting the ban on international visitors from the United Kingdom will re-allow transit through the critical gateways of Heathrow and Gatwick airports. But he points out that this will be for persons who are fully compliant with the health and safety protocols required for international travel. Minister Bartlett says this development is critical for the opening up of the summer tourist season and facilitating travel for members of the diaspora. He says the lifting of the ban is also against the background of the improved vaccination program in the UK and the fact that almost 50% of UK residents have received their second dose of vaccinations. Jamaica reopened its borders last June and has since welcomed approximately 1.5 million visitors to the country. The Caribbean Examination Council CXC has extended the deadline for the submission of school-based assessment SBAs for CSEC exams. Education Minister Favour Williams made the announcement during a virtual town hall meeting last evening. She says the extension was granted after the ministry made a request to CXC for the change on behalf of concerned Jamaicans.
CXC will facilitate a phased submission of SBAs. That is, the submission deadline of June 18 be retained for the research subjects, while submissions for the practical subjects be submitted on June 30th. No penalty will be attached to the extension.
Chief Executive Officer of CXC, Wayne Wesley, warns that despite the extension, SBAs are to be submitted as soon as they are completed by the respective center.
For those SBAs that are of a research nature and can be completed within the time frame. We would encourage those, once they are completed, to be uploaded to help with the concern about all SBAs coming in at the same time because an extension is given.
CXC examinations are scheduled to begin on June 14, with students sitting both Paper 1 and Paper 2. Students will have until May 1 to defer sitting the exams. Results should be released in September. The draft Jamaica Teaching Council bill, which seeks to establish a system of licensing educators, is now with the Attorney General's office.
Its purpose is to recognize and promote teaching as a profession, to continue to improve the quality of teaching and learning in Jamaica by regulating the entry and standing of members of the teaching profession.
The Education Minister says the bill will establish and maintain the registers of teachers and the role of instructors. It will also establish and maintain professional standards for teacher competence and practice, regulate the professional conduct of teachers, and create an enabling environment for their continuing professional development. And finally, Education Minister Favour Williams says numerous early childhood institutions will be transitioned to government infant schools.
There are 107 early childhood institutions that have been assessed as ready to be transitioned to government infant schools. We will get this done.
She says the ministry will also be intensifying the in-service training of early childhood practitioners to expand their understanding of the value of play and friendly teacher interactions for children at this age. Additionally, the rollout of the Brain Builders and early stimulation programs will continue. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
The government of Jamaica is introducing shared corporate services to revolutionize the way it operates. Shared corporate services will utilize the latest technology, leaner processes and service standards to drive efficiency and effectiveness in the public sector. The Transformation Implementation Unit is working to streamline public services in 7 operational areas: human resource management, information and communication technology, asset management, procurement, finance and accounts, public relations and communication, as well as internal audit. Shared corporate services is a tried and proven way of improving the delivery of public services. The government of Jamaica is transforming to serve its citizens better. We're building a better public sector for all. Brought to you by the Transformation Implementation Unit.
While speaking in Parliament recently, Gender Minister Olivia Grange revealed that Cabinet had given its approval for amendments to be made to the Domestic Violence Act. These amendments will strengthen the law and better protect and safeguard victims of domestic abuse. Here's more.
There are countless victims of domestic violence across Jamaica. Some sadly will not make it out alive. Domestic violence or intimate partner violence has maimed and claimed too many lives. Neither men nor women are spared. But government is taking steps to cripple its immobilizing and far-reaching grip on our society.
Cabinet has given its approval for the amendments to the Domestic Violence Act, which will serve to strengthen the law.
According to the United Nations, domestic violence is a pattern of behavior in any relationship that is used to gain or maintain power and control over an intimate partner. It is any physical, sexual, emotional, economic, or psychological action or threat of actions that influence another person. One of the amendments to be made to the Domestic Violence Act is the inclusion of a comprehensive definition of the term.
The definition will make clear that domestic violence is not only physical, but also psychological, emotional, and sexual, and may occur in situations where intimate images are exposed to inflict harm on a person, among other situations.
Another legislative change will be the expansion of the category of people who will be allowed to apply for protection orders on behalf of an abused person. Government will also expand the conduct or behaviors that the court may prohibit the respondent from engaging in under a protection order.
This will include a prohibition on taking possession of or damaging a property that the victim may have an interest in, as well as directing the perpetrator to pay compensation for monetary loss incurred by the victim as a direct result of conduct that amounted to domestic violence, and also directing the perpetrator to relinquish firearm license, firearm, or other weapon to the police, and other orders that the court may deem appropriate.
Another modification will be the widening of the threshold to be met in obtaining protection orders from the court. This is to give greater protection to those who need the orders to keep abusers away. And additionally, government will be increasing the penalty for breach of a protection order.
The current penalty is $10,000. We want to see the penalty move to $1 million or imprisonment for at least 1 year.
Though these amendments will go a far way in strengthening the law, perpetrators cannot and will not be punished unless persons speak up and speak out against domestic abuse. If you or someone you know is in a violent relationship, reach out to the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport for help immediately.
They can call 876-553-0372. We will get to you and we will ensure that you get to a safe place. We have the call lines for the men and we have lines for the women. Feel free to call us. We are here to help you. That is a commitment of this government.
Now that you have learned about the amendments coming for the Domestic Violence Act, here's a closer look at domestic violence and the measures victims can take to get help.
All that is an actual story, a story all too familiar. And well, that's a part of my story. Growing up, I've seen my father flip over the simplest of things. He would basically change from an angel to a devil in a flash. I remember this instance. My mom told me that she was coming home from work one evening because she worked very close to where he lived. She was coming home from work, and usually when you're leaving work, it's a lot of persons leaving at the same time, and she was talking to one of her co-workers and she smiled at him. He smiled back and my father saw that. And when she went home, he was ready for her. He was like, "Oh, see, I smile at my pan the road. You smile at my pan the road." He beat her, he stripped her naked, and he chased her in front of the yard so all her co-workers could see. So all her co-workers could see her.
Domestic abuse or domestic violence is not just physical abuse. The physical abuse basically for us is the end product coming from somewhere else. So you have stalking, you have intimidation, you have threat, you have psychological abuse, the one that I'll tell you, I play on your emotions as to what I can do.
It was known to everybody that this was the type of person she was dating. This was the type of man he was. Even the security at the gate, the manager, everyone. So it's not like her life was a secret. She could not have any friends. He was the only person she could talk to, go anywhere with. If someone even talked to her and she not acknowledging them, she would get beaten for that. The least good thing, he would flip on her.
Usually, persons who are perpetrators of domestic violence are usually men, and usually they are persons who were controlling over their intimate partners. They tend to have a high level of jealousy, and they tend to be very possessive. And as such, you find that they will have a pattern of behavior where they will always check where the partner is by various means, whether by calling the person, ask the person where they are, also want to know who are they communicating with. So are they communicating persons on email, WhatsApp, other social media platform? They also want to make sure that they know where they are at all times and that they're not interacting with other persons outside, so they tend to want to have them stay home, for example, and lose connection with their families and friends.
A lot of persons knew that my mom was being abused. But the type of man that my father was, everyone was afraid of him. My neighbor was afraid of him. His neighbor was afraid of him. It's like anyone who came into contact with him would get hurt because he's not a simple person. I'm not sure if it's because of his build. He's really fit, he's really tall, muscular, so he's not afraid.
As community members, we have a moral responsibility that within our homes and within our communities, once we are aware that there are instances of domestic abuse and domestic violence and we seek help, best place to go? To the police. Ask the police to intervene. Intervention can be that the police directs the victim to a counseling center, because we have partnership with churches, right? We have partnership with other organizations, Justices of the Peace, counselors.
Every time she escaped him, he would either stalk her, chase her, go to her either friend's house, wherever she went, friend's house, mother's house, cousin's house, no matter where she went, he would find her, go for her with a gun, knife, machete, whatever it may be, and she would always have to go back with him. No one, no matter how much they tried to fight and help her, he would always get her back. And when she goes back with him, the beating got worse, the abuse got worse, the rape got worse, everything got worse.
Have an escape plan. Your escape plan cannot be where the perpetrator knows that you're going over to your mother's house because he's aware of where your mother lives. The escape plan cannot be, I'm going to stay by my friend because he knows where your friends are. If it's a life-threatening abuse, that's where you go to the courts to seek a protection order or an occupation order or both.
I would say maybe around primary school. I'm not sure the exact age. I was told that there was a restraining order for me and between me and my father. He should not be about, I'm not sure how much feet from me. He is not allowed to be near me at all. At this time I was living with my grandmother because my mom got full custody now. They had went through court and everything and fought her way, so there was no more hiding from him. He knew where I was living now because she got custody and he had to basically step away.
The protection order will say you are not to be seen, you are to remove one party is to leave the household because of the volatility of the situation. The court may say, look here, one party must leave the household and reside elsewhere. And a lot of times it's the abuser that the court will say, look, stay somewhere else until the matter is heard. Or you're not to be seen in the workplace of the person.
The abuse that my mom endured, the physical abuse and the verbal abuse that I basically endured from my father, it has caused me to basically lock myself away from people. I'm always by myself, 90% of the time I would say. I'm always by myself. Throughout high school, I've had counseling. I was rebellious because I felt like no one loved me. I struggled in the relationship department, friendship. I I have anger issues. I've learned to control it because of counseling. I had this teacher, she helped me throughout high school and university.
Counseling able to revisit what happened, able to process it in a more positive way and more realistic way, so you don't put all the blame on yourself, but you realize that a lot of it wasn't your fault, and then help you now to, having dealt with it, to try to move on. A lot of persons, because they don't deal with it, they find it difficult to relate to other persons because of the fact that they are still kind of baggage of what happened to them before.
The Domestic Violence Intervention Centers, one of those facilities that were donated by the U.S. Embassy, and it's a partnership between the JCF and the U.S. Embassy, to create a facility where persons can come and speak about domestic violence and domestic abuse related issues within their home. And so it's a safe space for both victims and perpetrator, and it offers counseling to family members, to victims, also to perpetrators. We have 2 centers that are currently operational. One is at the Matilda's Corner Police Station. You can call the Matilda's Corner Police Station for that. The other one is at Air 5 headquarters. That's on the same compound as Constant Spring Police Station. The number is 702-5120 or 702-5121.
We also have available mental health and suicide helpline. And this helpline is a 24-hour service, which is toll-free, where a person can call. So it can be either persons calling on behalf of others that they have been exposed to domestic violence. So the helpline is toll-free and it's 888-NEW-LIFE, which is 888-639-5433. And the 24-hour service, 7 days per week.
If you know someone is being abused, say something, do something.
In addition to the amendments to be made to the Domestic Violence Act, the Ministry of Gender, through the Bureau of Gender Affairs, will be implementing a new program to curtail intimate partner violence. It's called Refocus Rehabilitation and is being designed to provide conflict resolution training and counseling to those in need. The initiative will be implemented with the support of the Ministries of Justice and National Security. It is just one of the programs being pursued by government to make Jamaica a safer place for all men and women to live, work, raise their families, and do business. How are you joining the fight against domestic violence? What can you do to help a victim of domestic violence? Remember, each of us has a role to play. Speak up and speak out today.
Hello Jamaica, my name is Charlton McFarlane and I am the Chief Executive Officer of the Registrar's General Department. I also go by the title Registrar General and Deputy Keeper of the Records. Over the last 12 months, the RGD team under my leadership embarked on a program entitled Digitally Bold. What does Digitally Bold mean? It means 2 things. Number 1, we will migrate as much of our services to our online and digital platforms as far as possible. And number 2, it will mean that our customers will have greater access and greater convenience in access when they access our services. All they need is a smartphone and internet connectivity. The following feature showcases and highlights the steps we have made along our Digitally Bold journey. Do enjoy.
Customer service improvement. SMS text is sent to customers advising on the result of form search, which is a detailed search that seeks to ascertain registration information for individuals who do not have a registration number. Our BDMS, birth, death, marriage system is directly updated to the system. This accommodates correction of errors on certificates to be corrected and reprinted immediately upon return of certificates by customers. Application for refunds are also accepted on the RGD's website. Our online web chat facilitates customers worldwide where they communicate real-time with RGD representatives who assist with queries.
The agency is now able to deliver burial orders to our customers electronically. This is only applicable to deaths occurring in public and private hospitals or health facilities island-wide at this time. As a result, our customers are able to get the death registration of their loved ones completed without ever having to visit the RGD.
With our online record updating applications, both local and overseas customers are now able to apply for the following record updating products online: late entry of name, addition of father's particulars, and correction of errors for birth, death, and marriages. These initiatives are in support of the government's call for businesses to streamline their services with a view of reaching more of their customers online.
Online verification service has expanded our clientele to include the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, the Administrator General's Department, the British High Commission, the Jamaica Defence Force, and our agreement with the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency is still in the testing phase.
We offer live streaming of registry weddings from our head office location. This service was implemented based on the current government protocols to include physical distancing, the restrictions on the number of guests that are allowed to attend, and our trust to move our service offerings online.
Same-day, next-day applications. Effective February 22nd, 2021, the agency will be accepting same-day and next-day applications for certificates of births, deaths, and marriages.
As the agency continues to satisfy, we made it our priority to thoroughly revise and posted the Citizens Charter on our website.
So there you have it. The several steps we have made so far along our digitally bold journey. But it's not over yet. As you are aware, Jamaica is preparing for the implementation of the National Identification System, and the Registrar General Department will be the agency transformed to deliver that service to Jamaicans. So as we continue our journey of modernization, I invite you to stay tuned, stay in touch, and take advantage of our digitally bold initiatives as we improve customer service delivery to every single Jamaican at home and in the diaspora.
And we've arrived at the final page for today's magazine. But don't worry, you can turn the pages with us again tomorrow. While you wait, visit our YouTube channel and website, jis.gov.jm, for our daily video uploads and news stories. You may also follow us on all our social media sites for the latest information on government programs and initiatives. I'm Audrey Williams. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.